Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reportedly reached out directly to US President Donald Trump, lobbying him for support in a high-profile corruption case that has haunted his political career for years, according to a report by Axios. In a phone conversation between the two leaders, Donald Trump reportedly conveyed his confidence in Netanyahu's position, but carefully avoided making any new promises or concrete commitments to advance a pardon, Axios reports. It is important to recall that last November, Donald Trump publicly urged his Israeli counterpart to grant Benjamin Netanyahu a full pardon, signaling strong support but leaving the legal outcome entirely in Netanyahu's hands. In a formal letter addressed to Israeli President Isaac Herzog, Donald Trump described the legal charges against Netanyahu as a politically motivated and unjustified prosecution, framing the case as an attack on Netanyahu rather than a legitimate legal proceeding. Building on Trump's earlier intervention, Benjamin Netanyahu personally approached President Herzog last week with a formal request for a pardon, intensifying his appeal and raising the stakes in Israel's already heated political environment.
Dear citizens of Israel, time and again I was elected in democratic election and received your trust to continue to rule as the Prime Minister of Israel, to, first and foremost, allow me to realize these historic goals. For these reasons, my lawyers filed today a pardon request to the state's president. I expect that anyone who wishes for the good of the country support this step. My personal interest was, and still is, to continue with the legal process to its end, until a full acquittal in all charges. But the security and political reality, the national interest, those demand otherwise. The state of Israel faces great challenges alongside great opportunities. In order to push away the threats and realize the opportunities, a national unity is required. The continuation of the trial is tearing us apart from the inside, is stirring heated controversies, intensifies rifts. I am sure, like many others among the people, that the immediate end of the trial will help a lot in lowering the flames and in promoting a wide reconciliation that our country needs so much.
Reacting to Netanyahu's plea for presidential pardon, opposition leader Yair Lapid sharply criticized the move, suggesting that the request undermines democratic norms and fuels growing public frustration with the sitting prime minister's handling of his legal troubles.
From here I call on President Herzog. You cannot pardon him without an admission of guilt, an expression of remorse, and an immediate retirement from the political life.
On November 30th, crowds of Israeli citizens gathered outside President Isaac Herzog's residence to protest Netanyahu's attempt to secure a pardon, demonstrating widespread public disapproval and deepening the political crisis engulfing the prime minister. Back in 2019, Israeli authorities filed 3 separate and significant corruption cases against Netanyahu, including allegations of fraud, breach of trust, and bribery, marking a dramatic chapter in the country's modern political history. The trial officially commenced in May 2020, making Netanyahu the first sitting Israeli prime minister in history to face direct cross-examination in a courtroom, an unprecedented moment that drew international attention and intense scrutiny. Benjamin Netanyahu holds the distinction of being the first Israeli prime minister ever to stand trial while in office for serious allegations including fraud, breach of trust, and bribery, highlighting both the severity of the charges and the unprecedented nature of the legal proceedings. Despite being formally indicted in 2019, Netanyahu has consistently pleaded not guilty, arguing that the charges against him are politically motivated and part of a broader campaign aimed at discrediting his leadership and weakening his influence in Israeli politics. Netanyahu has publicly stated that receiving a presidential pardon would free him from legal distractions and enable him to fully dedicate his time, talents, and energy to governing Israel and focusing on national priorities without the looming threat of prosecution. Should Netanyahu be found guilty on any of the charges, he could face severe consequences, including significant prison time, with bribery convictions alone carrying a potential sentence of up to 10 years, dramatically impacting his political career and personal freedom.